Hello everyone, JDS here. I've recently joined the Source Runs Discord at the behest of Malta, and saw a few days later that someone found one of the videos I posted in recent days with the save warps for Blue Shift and Opposing Force, and in that post was, does anyone know about him? So I'm making this video as a sort of to explain myself, I suppose, and also to explain where these warp videos came from. So just in terms of where I myself came from, I purchased the entire Half-Life anthology as it existed as part of the Black Friday sale in 2017. I was 22 years old, so that's certainly a couple of strikes against me for speedrunning cred. Another strike against me is that I am on the wrong system. As you can see, I am on a Mac. What you see me doing with these videos is running Gold Source package in Wine, which runs surprisingly well, actually. Problem is, one, I can't get LiveSplit to work in Wine. It won't let me install the correct version of .NET Framework to get it running for whatever reason. And two, for whatever reason, in Blue Shift and Half-Life proper, the BXT HUD commands are not available to me, nor is FPS override for whatever reason. No idea why it won't let me do it. It's just something that's a bit of a mystery to me. HUD commands are available to me in Opposing Force for whatever reason. Haven't checked for FPS override though. I'll need to double check that at some point. Anyway, all this is to say I am not predisposed to speedrun myself, primarily because of my technical setup, and also just on top of that, my movement utterly sucks. My hand-to-hand coordination is bad, which is ironic considering I'm a classically trained guitarist, but that's beside the point. But I originally purchased the games in 2017, and I started watching speedruns of these games at some point the next year. I don't remember exactly when. I suppose it was around the time where Malta was grinding for the sub-hour HL2 any percent. Those are the days. I've gone on to follow a number of other speedrunners as well. It was also around this time that I found the Source Runs YouTube channel, where I utterly devoured the segmented runs that were on there at the time, including Half-Life done enormously warped, which, a segmented run is good when it starts with an epilepsy warning. I will be perfectly frank, I got way too into this. But, it kind of appealed to me on an intellectual level. The how fast can a game be completed sort of thing I find that to be an absolutely fascinating question, which I suppose is why speedrunning appeals to me. But, I got way into this video. What I ended up doing in a fit of boredom, a year ago to the month, what I did is I went through and decompiled all of the maps in Half-Life to find all the landmark coordinates and calculate the deltas from hitting change level triggers and taking the deltas for the corresponding wrong warps. And then what I did is I went through this video. I actually went as far as to download the 120 FPS version, went through it frame by frame to figure out where all the wrong warps were, because the HUD at the top didn't differentiate between a normal warp and a wrong warp. And I was able to figure out where almost all the wrong warps were from the video. There are actually a couple of triggers that are misframed. One of them, the triggers are straight up missing from the video. The other one, the frame in the video is for the incorrect trigger. But that's neither here nor there. Well, it is kind of here or there, because what I ended up doing is I downloaded Save Warp Tool and dropped it into a gold source package and went through and recreated these warps to figure out whether or not these are wrong warps or not, and found out that they were both indeed wrong warps. So, I had Save Warp Tool at hand, and what I ended up doing is once I found where all the wrong warps were, I recreated as many of them as I could using Save Warp Tool. I could not recreate the ones that use the broken elevator trigger because that can't be emulated with Save Warp Tool. And when I tried to use it manually for warps, the game crashed for whatever reason. So I wasn't able to do those. But I was very much enjoying myself in the utter sheer boredom that I was experiencing for whatever reason. And what I ended up doing is I went forth and did the same thing with Blue Shift and Opposing Force, where I decompiled all the maps to find coordinates, which, in the end, the coordinates ended up being useless data to me, but I was doing it anyway. I was a bit of a mess at that point, I suppose. But what I ended up doing on top of that, as soon as I'd done all that, I went, it would be, wonder how great it would be to do like a done enormously warp style route for Blue Shift and Opposing Force. And that's what I ended up doing. And that's where the order in which I did things, I was first manually looking for a warp to skip having to get Dr. Rosenberg. And I found that on my own. And that's where the first video in the chain of videos comes from, is that warp chain. And then from there, I found Save Warp Finder on GitHub, which is one of the tools HL Stuff wrote before he disappeared into the ether. I edited it myself into a fork that I didn't publish to GitHub until a few days ago, where I made the builder itself game agnostic and have you pass a config to the builder via command line argument. But it was with that tool that I found the rest of the warps for the Blue Shift done enormously warped route that I was building in secret. And then I ended up doing much the same thing for Opposing Force. I went through and used Save Warp Finder to find a bunch of warps, which at the time there were no RTA save warp runs for Opposing Force, so this was quite the novelty. And that's where I found the two warps for the boss fight and the first engineer auto-scroller, which I posted videos for as well. I did not at the time find the Canal 2 warp for Blue Shift. I found that one a few days ago. I was searching for that as kind of a meme, because at this point it was before I found that Malta had gotten his 1221 RTA with the Rosenberg skip that I handed to him. I was like, there's no way I'm finding it. And then I did find it pretty much by accident. Which, I suppose Malta will go back and try to get a sub 12 at this point with the use of this warp, but, I'll leave that to him. But yeah, that's basically where all this came from. I am not, like I said, I'm not in a position to run myself, but I very much enjoy the intellectual exercise of speedrunning, which people like Maxim and Malta and whoever else I think embody quite well. They're always saying like, how low can I get this sort of thing? Or not necessarily how low can I get this, but how low can it go? I suppose I should say. But anyway, maybe sometime in the future I'll make videos encapsulating these routes I found, which obviously there's probably going to be some improvements other actual speedrunners can find over these warps, but do like I did with the previous videos and just put them out there for people to see and improve upon. But I guess I do have some more time in my hands now that COVID is forcing me to work from home. I'm a full-time software engineer, by the way, so This, I'm gainfully employed, so I don't have that much time. But yeah, so I just wanted to go ahead and put this out there to say, this is who I am. This is where this came from. This is where it may go, and I hope everyone in source runs and everyone out there enjoys what I'm putting out there. So thank you, and have a good day.